Now I'd be amazed if all of you went home tonight and did not, in the minimum, research the construction of these mosques in Turkey. And in particular this man Mimar Sinan. And the story of Ibn al-Aqwa. And the story of Abdullah ibn Atiq. But it doesn't stop there. Another Sahabi by the name of Sa'd al-Aswad al-Sulami was potentially one of the ugliest men in Medina. And he had approached the Nabi alayhi salam, and obviously this man had confidence issues, yeah? This Sahabi had confidence issues. And he had approached the Nabi alayhi salam. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, will I enter Jannah? Seriously, I believe, but will I enter Jannah, like me, of all people, me? And the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, of course you will. So long as you believe and you die with your belief intact. Inshallah, absolutely, that's the arrangement, that's the agreement, that's the guarantee. He said, so I will enter Jannah just like everyone else. He said, of course, just like everyone else. He said, then if I am equal to everyone else, why is it that no father will accept his daughter's hand in marriage to me? Why? Why is it I can't find a wife? So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said to him, he said, Sa'ad, there is a man that just became Muslim. He just reverted. His name is Ibn Wahab. And his daughter is one of the most, if not the most beautiful girl in Medina. She's known for her beauty. He said, go to his house, knock on his door, and advise him that I request of him that he give you his daughter's hand in marriage. And Sa'ad couldn't believe this. The daughter of Ibn Wahab for me. He said, yes, the daughter of Ibn Wahab. He said, Ya Rasulullah, the daughter, yes. So Sa'ad, his confidence now is sky high. So he had bolted to Ibn Wahab's house. And when he reached there and called out for Ibn Wahab opened the door. And Ibn Wahab has only been Muslim for a couple of days, yeah? So he looked at him and he said, yes, Sa'ad. And Sa'ad said, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam advises you to give me your daughter's hand in marriage. Now Ibn Wahab got the shock of his life. You? Of all the people in Medina, you? Do you not know how beautiful my daughter is, and the number of suitors that have come to my door, and the number of rejections I have made, only to accept you? Wala a'udhu billah, no way. And he closed the door on Sa'ad. And Sa'ad walked away in tears. It's like he'd been kicked in the heart. Well, imagine that. Imagine that. Like a pinball machine, he's gone from one place to another, from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. He's absolutely gutted. Reminds me when I was in school, but anyway. He's absolutely gutted. And he's walking away. Until the daughter of Ibn Wahab herself, she came running to her father and opened the door. And she said, Sa'ad, stop, wait. Oh, Sa'ad, wait, wait. And he looked around with tears in his eyes. And she looked to her father and she said, oh my father, where will we be? Where will we be if we reject the request of the Nabi alayhi salam? Where will we be? This beautiful girl, this young girl, with a mind so far forward. Where will we be if we reject the call of the Nabi alayhi salam? And the father looked to the floor in shame, and she looked at Sa'ad straight in the eye. And she said, Sa'ad, go to the Nabi directly and tell him, I accept. And Sa'ad back sky high again. He ran to the Nabi alayhi salam. Ya Rasulullah, you would not believe what happened. Kaza, 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 kaza. And he's over the moon. He said, Yalla, we got to do the nikah now, quickly before they change their minds. A crazy family. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, we'll do the nikah for 400 dirhams. He said, 400 what? He said, dirhams, 400 dirhams. 400 tamar, alright, but dirhams, where am I gonna, I've never seen 400 dirhams in my life. I haven't even seen it, my eyes haven't even seen that much money. Where am I going to find 400 dirhams? And the Nabi alayhi salam said, don't worry. He said, go to Ali, Allahumma rada anhu, and Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and Uthman ibn Affan, and tell them each, the Nabi alayhi salam requests of you 200 dirhams each for Sa'ad's wedding. So he went to them and they gave him 200 dirhams each. He had 600 dirhams, over the moon. So he went to the market to buy, because he had some extra money, to buy some stuff for his beautiful wife. You know, he's not going to go there empty-handed. He just scored the most beautiful girl in Medina. Of course, he's excited. So he's gone to the market, he's looking at stuff, and he's excited, all the rest of it. And the call for jihad was made. And the call for jihad was made. Men were walking through the marketplace, calling for the Muslims, call to arms. War is at the doorstep of Medina. And Sa'ad looked at the money, and then he looked at the sky and he said, Ya Allah, I will spend this money in your service to please you. And he went to the armory and he put 600 dirhams down. He said, give me a shield and a sword. Give me a shield and a sword. This man was smiling with joy and his face had turned. He said, give me a shield and give me a sword. And he took the shield and the sword and he threw himself into the army. And as they were marching, every time the Nabi alayhi salam would look in his direction, he'd look away and he'd cover his face, because he knew if the Nabi alayhi salam had saw him, he'd send him back. Go get that wife that you wanted. And Sa'ad didn't want the Nabi alayhi salam to see him. So he would hide his face. So much so that the Sahaba were saying, who's that guy? Who's that guy? He keeps covering his face. Everybody else is here is proud, and this guy keeps covering his face. And Ali said, leave him. Is he not with us? They said, yes. He said, enough. He can approach the battlefield as he feels, whatever makes him comfortable. Leave him alone. So everybody just left him alone. And Sa'ad was hiding his face. And in the middle of the battlefield, his horse was actually struck. And the horse collapsed and Sa'ad fell down on the ground. And as he stood up to regain his balance, he turned around to pick up his sword, and the Nabi alayhi salam saw him from a distance. And he said, Sa'ad, is that you? And Sa'ad looked at him and he smiled. What's he going to do? Run away? He smiled. And the Nabi alayhi salam, he said, oh Sa'ad, you asked me about Jannah. You asked me about Jannah. Jannah is your abode. Jannah is your home. So Sa'ad, at the sound of this, finally he felt that he was the equal of the great Sahaba. He was their equal. Jannah is just as much mine as it is yours. And he threw himself into the battlefield. He threw himself into the battlefield until a sound was made that Sa'ad had been killed. Sa'ad had fallen. And the Nabi alayhi salam saw Sa'ad fall, and he ran towards Sa'ad and put his head on the blessed lap of the Nabi alayhi salam. And he held his hair and he wiped his face. And he looked at him and he said to Sa'ad, and he started crying. The Nabi alayhi salam cried, and his tears were falling on the cheeks of Sa'ad. And then he started smiling. And the Sahaba looked at the Nabi alayhi salam and they said, you're crying and then you're smiling. He said, I cried at the sacrifice of this man, who only hours ago was doubting whether he'll ever enter Jannah. And now I saw him entering Jannah. And a wife more beautiful than the one in Medina, because he didn't marry her. A wife more beautiful than the one in Medina is waiting for him in Jannah. Brothers and sisters, these are the stories And there are many, 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 many more. These are the stories that excite a man, that charge a woman, that make you feel, that inspire you. And our deen and our history is littered, flooded with such beautiful stories. Be them of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam in the Quran, be them of Sa'd al-Aswad al-Sulami, be them of Ibn Aqwa, Allahumma rada anhu, or be them of an architect, Mimar Sinan, simply building what he thought was buildings that needed to be built. These are the stories that our beautiful religion were built on. Men and women of sacrifice. I'll finish with one quick story. It'll go for about 2 minutes because I've been told I need to hurry up. In Turkey there was a brother. And note that these stories, they're not famous men. Probably most of you here have never heard of the men I just mentioned. And I did that deliberately because I want you to know. It was very easy for me to say the story of Abu Bakr, Allahumma anhu. Very easy for me to say the story of Umar ibn al-Khattab, Allahumma. Very easy. But I wanted to show you the stories of people you don't know that are magnificent. And this story, we don't even know this man's name. He was so poor, he said, I want to build a mosque. I will build a mosque before I die. He saved every cent. When it came time to eat, the people would try to feed him, or he would try to go to the market, try to buy something. He would say, Sankiyadim, which means as if I've eaten. It's as though I've eaten. It's as though I've eaten, and he put the money in his pocket. It's as though I've eaten for years, for decades. He's been saying, it's as though I've eaten, it's as though I've eaten. They thought he's gone nuts. What's wrong with this guy? Every time we try to feed him or he tries to eat something, he says it's as though I've eaten. What's he doing? Until finally they realized he had saved up enough money to build a mosque. And he died before it finished. And he would say every time when it was time to eat, Sankiyadim. Sankiyadim, as if I've eaten, as though I've eaten. And he put the money in his pocket. And he managed to save up enough money to build a very basic small mosque. And they named this mosque, and Google it when you get home. The name of the mosque, it's got one minaret. It's the smallest dome on the planet. It's a little mosque. But wallahi, it's one of my favorite mosques. The name of the mosque is Sankiyadim, as though I've eaten. Brothers and sisters, this is the end of Stories in the Park 1 for this season. Inshallah, you'll find the time to come to the next Stories in the Park. I do believe it's next week. And we have a spectacular lineup of speakers. We have a new website that's up. Please register your names. We'll be sending you SMSs and emails, especially with the current weather where it rains. You don't know when it rains and when it doesn't rain. I don't think the meteorologist got it right. Obviously something's gone wrong there. But we'll advise you and we'll keep you informed as to the next Stories in the Park. Go on the website, take a look at some of our speakers. We've got Hassan, Sean, Bassam, Haytham, fantastic speakers. We've got excellent, this year we've got some really good sponsors. We've got pizzas. Did they go around? Tuscany's, yeah. Tuscany pizza. Just up the road. Just up the road. Yani, this community is fantastic. The support's fantastic. This is our 5th season, and inshallah it's only the first 5 of many more to come. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.